Some groups from hell realms, they have never been bound down towards the triple gems. They are from the woeful realms. Most of them are like that. Sometimes from woeful realms, they also pay respect towards the triple gems, but their behaviors destine themselves in the way that they are lost to their greed and delusion. Therefore, they were destined in hell realms, in the woeful realms. Nothing is fixed rules. It has to be according to circumstances, not always like this or like that. We have to look at the samutai, the darkness of the beings. Some of them pay respect to the triple gems, but because they have greed towards temple and religions, they are destined as hungry ghosts. Sometimes they use greed with temples. Even though they respect the triple gems, they are destined as hungry goats. Definitely, we need to lead them to do forgiveness statements because they already respect us, just like they humbly respect the triple gems. All blessers are part of the triple gem anyway. So just lead them towards forgiveness statements right away. Special karmic payback zones. That has to be Samabat Sunyata, plong, bursting out without limits. Mind in the way without limits. That is the power of Samabat, penetrating through without limits. Bursting out without grasping for bursting, because special karmic payback zone, because one is fixated with one's own mind. Purifying to the extinction is not enough. You need to use samabhasyata, boundlessness, to penetrate through such a mind, bursting out boundlessly, in the way that the non-grasping doesn't grasp for the non-grasping itself. But together, bursting out, because it's the mighty force that stimulates the release, the giving, brightening out, bursting out, boom. Must use samabhasyata, bursting out, penetrate through by this bursting, for anything that is sticky. blessed in the way that it's impossible to get out from the blessing. The blessers must be found. The art of blessing with certain kind of samutai, cause of suffering, how to bless. Therefore, people cannot imagine how the art of the blessing is. It's branching out further from the essence of the enlightenment, from the essence of Nirodha and Nibbana. That's the art of the blessing. It's the art that continue further from Nirodha and Nibbana, from the non-attachment. How can you support and correct samsara? By which kind of mighty force? And how? Must use sunyata nibbana only. Discard the discarding, no grasping for the non-grasping altogether. Disengage from disengagement altogether without grasping for disengagement. This will enable to help to unwinding and releasing. For the black magic, they also will yield for samabat sunyata. They have the karmic bounce back. They taking on their stickiness within themselves, within their own mind, because how they use the stickiness to anyone, to hypnotize anyone, it will bounce back to oneself in the same way. Sticky, it bounces back to oneself. Therefore, use samabat sunyata with them only. Bursting out in the way of non-grasping for the non-grasping itself. Awakening and bursting out in the way of no grasping for the non-grasping itself. That is the anupap of awakening to the samabat. When there is stickiness, you need to use movement to help. Movement physically, physical movement for both body mind to stimulate, releasing out, awakening out of awakening, bursting out of the bursting, out from out itself. Use movement. To use one position is impossible. By sitting is not okay. And the vengeance also will be yielded towards samabat sunyata. It will soften so much tremendously for every issue, for all types of minds, because these will purify emotions. Sunyata is not emotions. It purifies emotions. No grasping for the non-grasping itself purifies emotions. Use a hosi into it. Use the system of sunyata for all these kind of remaining in any realms of existence, together with awakening and bursting out as usual. No grasping for the non-grasping itself, together with awakening out, bursting out, penetrate through This is Samabat of Sunyata. It's not maintaining itself, awakening, bursting out in the way that no grasping doesn't grasp for itself. That is, bursting out without grasping for itself is bursting out with Sunyata. This can purify all types of minds, all attributes of the mind. Awakening, bursting out. Walking can help people who are into contemplation. Movements will help a lot for those kind. Sitting in the car also is okay to use because it's movement. Movement is the awakening that follows movement. Awakening simultaneously with movements. Movements stimulates awakening. When awakening in the way of mind, from mind itself, that is awakening that cuts through itself. That's what working. With everything, no grasping for the non-grasping itself, together with awakening. Use everything as a guideline. The anupap of awakening and bursting out must be clear because it's the anupap that penetrates through everything. No grasping in the way that doesn't grasp for itself, in the way with awakening and bursting out. This is Samabat Sunyata, Sunyata Samabat. It doesn't grasp for itself anyway. It's the conclusion of Sunyata already, naturally. Help, and that's it. There is no need to know the results. Everything discard the discarding itself altogether. Mind from mind itself. No grasping for the non-grasping itself. Diligently conclude through this kind of reminder. There is no need to know the result from blessing. Blessing and it's bygone. There is no need to follow to find the result. That is the delusion and desire that is betraying. The checking is the betraying. It's a delusion, it's the desire that is coming back to oneself unconsciously. Mind, from mind itself, constantly with everything, it will purify the behaviors. Naturally, step back, disengage from disengagement itself. Don't be vague and drifting within any state of feelings and emotions. Step back, disengage from disengaging itself by cutting within itself. Don't be drifting with the perception of emotions only. It will cut through for both heaven and hell emotions. Step back to disengage from disengagement itself if you want to go over heaven and hell realms. Don't be drifting within just states of mind and emotions. Constantly use the reminders. Step back, disengage from disengagement itself constantly. Constantly use the reminders if you want to get over the emotions of heavens and hells, emotions of samsara. No grasping for the non-attachment itself. Step back constantly to not grasp for the non-attachment itself. Then it will be without limits naturally. From birth realms to become humans and refines, one has to meet the Arahants, the Bodhisattvas, the Mahaparami, the great perfections, so that they can get out of their own mind. For those who are prisoners, just give them an opportunity. Don't put them in prisons. Just let them work, dedicate themselves for communities. Their characteristics and habits will be released out from the old patterns. Give them the allowance as well. And when they finish their work, let them sleep. Don't put them in jail only. Let them work. Let them dedicate themselves to sacrifice for society. Their habits and characteristics will be released. Because whenever one gives out a dedication, one will feel better. In the past, they make the hooligan as a leader of a village. Let them rule. And then they will start to do something for the community at large. Then they get better. They can get out of their own patterns. Sacrifices is the release, is taking out. When taking in, as always, the habit is just taking in. That has to be corrected. Sacrifice for societies. The correction is easy. Then they can get out of their own habits and patterns. Taking in and taking out will be balanced later on. People usually take in because they are relying on that. But it has to do the opposite, vice versa, knowing how to give out for societies as well. Hell realms also we have to pass through the process of human. They have to join the period of sacrifices to lead towards the brightness. Then they will have a chance to purify their own traits. Because if they are born in the dark era, they will become dark as usual. So, if they are entering the brightened realm, the brightened era, they are fortunate because the blessers with great fortunes share blessing towards them, leading them towards paying respect towards the triple gems and leading towards forgiveness statements, giving them great fortunes. They are fortunate to meet the brightness of that era. Otherwise, they will be left, they will be ignored. Then they're going to be just a burden and trash of samsara. Hell realms habits will be the burden of samsara if they are ignored to pay back their karma in such a way. It's endless. We're talking about ignoring hell realms is impossible because it's the burden of samsara. We have to bless them like a mandate to bless. We have to link the great blessed fortune diligently, giving them, to let them have great blessed fortune as well, so that they can be blessed.